I don't know how many angles we've tried for this, but we just rearranged our room, and so it's different. Welcome to today. We're talking about something today called integration, because I woke up with all the feelings about integration, and now I'm going to share them with you. If you don't know, integration is a dissociative identity term for the process of two or more alters or people in a system merging into one alter or changing in that way. It usually involves one or more alter no longer existing, and the things they held, their memories, their feelings, all that goes into another person, alter, in the system, or might get dispersed throughout the system. There's probably a bunch of different ways integration happens. If there's a way integration happens for you or that you know about, please tell us in the comments, because everyone will be delighted to know about more things. Also, I'm sorry if you hear noise out the window over there. I don't want to close it because I want the airflow, but that means there's going to be a little more background noise, so, hang in there with us. So integration right now is something we need to talk about with you because it's happening to our system. You may have noticed that we are under a big redesign of everything about how we run our channel and who runs our channel and what our channel's named even. It's been a lot of process. And it wasn't clear to us in the beginning exactly why we were on that process, other than to include everybody in the system in our important parts of our life, like our channel. You may or may not know this, but this is one of the most important parts of our life, running this channel. So, thank you for being here and being part of one of the most important things in our life. I got distracted by it being important, and now I don't know what I was saying. Oh, integration. Everything's changing right now, you may have noticed. Not everything, but most things have changed to a degree. At first it was because our host, Joe, who was also our primary protector, also a gatekeeper, also had way too many roles. We did not design that very well when that... This is probably going to be a long video. Settle in. It's a good story. Joe has been the host plus everything else, that person, since 2014, I think. Yeah. When our life was, again, going through a lot of change and redesign because we had left the church. We grew up in the Christian church, steeped in it, brainwashing and, cult stuff. It's intense. So, when we finally got to leave that in our early 20s, we also were coming out queer, trans mostly. We started out a lesbian, but that didn't cover the whole story. So then we came out trans, and then in all this time we lost our whole support system and had to make a brand new support system. It was awful. Also, we became homeless for a short time and had no income because we were disabled. So in that time, Joe was made. Joe came to be. Joe split off, partly from the host who was doing things before. We call that host Dead Name. They requested it. They didn't end up integrating. They still lurk about in the headspace, but they don't really come out ever. Yeah, so Joe split off from Dead Name and became Joe, and got to take on everything. I think because we were still trying so hard to not seem like we were a system and to not let ourselves know we were a system, because that's terrifying. And what the fuck? This little sunbeam coming through. That's nice. There's gonna be a lot of this losing our train of thought today, I see. for a long time, Joe was doing all the hosting, all the protecting, all the gatekeeping, which means they were not letting people come out very often. And it wasn't until until someone on the internet basically told them, hey, it sounds like you have DID, that they freaked out. And within a couple of days discovered, yes, indeed, we do have DID, because they started naming some traumas, and then those traumas ended up being people. So then for years and years, Joe was just trying to run the entire show, and then they discovered, even once they knew we had DID, they were still trying to run the whole show, because that's what their job was. Run the entire show, and the rest of us I don't even know what we did. Tried to run it as well, but mostly we were all just like enacting and reenacting traumas. What is the point of all this and integration? The point is trying to tell you why we are in this position now where Joe is integrating. That's what's happening. It took a while to take over all the jobs that Joe has been doing and for them to give them all up, because it's very hard when you're in control of everything all the time to stop being in control of it. I think it's also hard to just disconnect so quickly from the people that you love and care about. We have a partner system, and Joe's partner is in that partner system. So it's a lot for that person to lose, because they're losing their partner. So I think it's been a bit hard to just immediately disconnect and make it happen all at once. And integrations don't have to happen all at once. I don't think they usually do. They can take a long time, they can be really messy, they can be confusing. So now that the window's closed, it's getting hot. So we're in the process of an integration happening where Joe is not the same person they were, and they are around hardly at all, and that's good. They were not functioning anymore. They were unable to have conversations, they were unable to do any of the tasks of their life. They were just they had disintegrated. They kept telling us how much they wanted to just be a planet, or to just go to space and orbit. So we told them, okay, go to space and orbit then. Why are you doing something you hate? Why are you burning yourself out to such a degree that you can't exist? And I think we all thought that perhaps if they changed their job and became a mostly internal person, that would be enough, that they could still be around. But it seems that that's not really the point. It's more like for our whole system as a whole to keep moving forward and to keep growing and changing and being a system, then parts of us will always have to be integrating, and probably parts will always be splitting off. Otherwise, we get stagnant. We can't move and change. We can't do our life very well. So we've had other people integrate before, I'm sure, but this is the first time it's happened when we've been so conscious of it and aware and purposeful about it, and when we've also had it be such a major person. You probably all know that Joe was this whole channel for most of the time. It's only very recently that the rest of us have been making videos. So it's such a giant loss to not have Joe anymore. To be without that person, to be trying to figure out, well, what does it mean then, for me, Big Dipper, to be just a protector? Well, not just, to be a primary protector and a co-host and a gatekeeper. Those all go together often. But to be sharing those responsibilities with other people in my system. Instead of where, with Joe, they were in charge of all of those things all the time. They didn't share with us. So the future is uncertain, that's for sure. But what is certain is that there are many of us now who are running the show, who are in control of our life and our body and the things we do. And that works better for us. It's already helping us function better and do things better. I don't even know more adjectives to find for you. And it's easier for us to ask for help from people. It's easier for us to accept help from people, easier to do medical things. So we were not going to be able to continue on as we were designed before and still take care of our body, take care of our life. I feel like I've gotten a bit lost because what I wanted to share with you was feelings. So you know a bit about integration now, and you know a bit about why it's happening. But I want to also say our feelings, which is that we're very, very sad. Joe has been a very good friend, always. And always tried to keep us safe and tried to get us the best life possible, and they did such a good job. And they had so very little to work with, but they would just keep going and going and going until they dropped to the floor. Literally, they would drop to the floor because they could not go anymore. And even though that was not good for our body, ultimately, I love that about Joe. I loved that about their ability to work until we dropped, to try and make us a good life and a happy life, and to try and uncover everything that happened to us so that we could understand and keep it from happening to us again, and also to find more health and happiness. So it's really, really sad to be losing them, and it's horrible, honestly, that it's horrible that in order for our system to go on the best way we can, my good friend has to leave us. Your good friend, they have to leave us. Because this is the best way for them. This is the thing they need to do. And it doesn't entirely even make sense. Like, we can explain it again and again about being burnt out, about being sad, about being exhausted, about too many jobs for one person. But it doesn't make sense anyways. It doesn't make sense to lose someone this close and this special to us. And it probably doesn't make sense that you can be losing someone, but the body they lived in, and we keep going. We're going to be here. We are still alive. But Joe won't be. I don't know when exactly it will finish happening, but we feel it every day. So it's happening. And I feel sad for Joe that we were not able to design a better system in the beginning to keep this from happening. I wish we had been able to design a system when they split off that had been more supportive of them and given them less responsibility. But we didn't, and we didn't know any better. We hardly knew who each other was. And we made Joe in order to keep that happening, because it still wasn't safe to have DID. When is it safe? It's never safe. But you know what I mean? It still wasn't, we weren't in a place where we could understand it about ourselves, and where we could get enough support, and where we could accept it. It probably only makes sense if you're a system, but maybe even if you're not a system, it can make sense to you. It's just like you have all these bits inside of yourself, and they can all exist there, but you can sort of just feign ignorance about your own self until the moment when you no longer can. And Joe had to be host during that whole moment of us moving from being in ignorance about each other, and then moving into awareness, and then moving into trying to work together well. So that's a lot for anybody to carry. It's a lot for a system mate to be holding by themselves. Joe shouldn't have had to hold so much by themselves. It's important in a system to understand that no one is one whole person capable of running the body by themselves and running our life by themselves. We are a multiple because we need each other in order to have our lives. If we don't have each other, we cannot function. Nothing makes sense. So for one person to be trying to carry everything, it's not possible. And it leads to unhealthiness and unhappiness and system breakdown. And then ultimately it led to Joe disintegrating, not being able to be a person with all of us anymore. So now here we are, all together. We don't know what's going to happen once Joe integrates, but we hope you'll be with us too when that happens. And Joe made a video a little while ago for you all, talking about they knew they were going to integrate. They're pretty damn sure, at least. So they made a video that we'll post very soon, if we haven't already, showing you with Joe talking to you. It's probably one of the last videos they made. Oh jeez, it's so sad the more we talk about it. It's like our friend is dying. Maybe it's like that for you too. I don't know. I don't know what more there is to say at this time for me, except being sad, and I'm so glad to have all of my other system mates around, because we can be sad together. And if you feel sad or have any feelings, you can share those with us and with everybody around, and we can all hold this space together until we figure out what's happening next. I really appreciate you all being here, and I hope you will continue being with us. Believe yourselves. Believe in all yourselves. Keep living. And we'll see you very soon, baby stars.